A championship that concluded amidst extraordinary excitement at Brands Hatch 5 months ago is all set to fire up again in the Easter Sunday sunshine of Thruxton. It's round one of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship, and eager for the action to resume are your commentary team of Tim Harvey and Ben Edwards.
We are all set and looking forward to the start of a new season. It's great to be here at Thruxton. Thanks for joining us. This is how they line up then for the first race of the day. And on pole, it's Gordon Shedden for the Honda Racing team. Giovanardi, that late deal, he's on the front row. Matt Neal and Andrew Jordan on row 2. Jason Plato, he's on row 3 with the LPG-powered Ford Focus of Tom Chilton alongside him on the third row of the grid. On row 4, it's Matt Jackson now driving the Airways BMW. Tom Onzo Cole in another Focus. Then Phil Glue in a Vectra of Unique Racing with 888. Paul O'Neill is next up on the grid, and then on row 6, Stephen Kane in the second Airways BMW and Rob Collard in a WSR BMW. Dave Pinkney's on row 7 with Tom Boardman. Great to see him back in British touring cars. Alex McDowell a bit unlucky yesterday in qualifying, back on row 8 with Martin Johnson. Then Andy Neate in the second WSR BMW. The VW Golf of Sean Hollenby in there at row number 9. Great to see him and a Golf back in the championship after many years absence. And Matt Hamilton and John George complete the grid with their 2 cars. Cars are just moving away on the first of their formation laps at the moment, the only formation lap in this dry weather. We're looking at Jason Plato. But Tim, what's interesting, of course, is the track temperatures are pretty cool, and I think we're going to be seeing them working these cars quite hard on this formation lap.
Yes, of course. Remember, the front-wheel drive cars go to the grid with their rear tyres on the front and generate as much temperature as they can on the warm-up lap, and then put those tyres on the back and put the rears on the front, which they're now warming up again. But you can see the surface, the track surface, still a little bit patchy. Once they get up to speed, they'll generate plenty of temperature around those long, fast corners, but certainly the initial couple of laps, and particularly around the left-hand bends of Allard, are really tricky.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see them working the cars very hard to weave around, trying to get that tractor tyre temperature up. You've got the multicoloured Pertec Racing Vauxhall Vectra there of Andy Jordan. There it is. That's a very distinctive-looking car.
A fantastic qualifying performance as well. I mean, absolutely brilliant. This car, pay particular attention. This is one of only 2 cars on the grid, his and Dave Pinkney's, with the new generation touring car engine, a turbocharged engine, and its first ever race, and a great qualifying.
And then it's Jason Plato in the Chevrolet Cruze. Now, he's working that car quite hard at the moment to try and get some track temperature. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with him. We've got him mic'd up this weekend. This is Ben to Jason. Jason, how are you getting on with getting some temperature into those tyres? It's a cool day, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not, Ben. Well, firstly, morning to you. Yeah, it is very cold. There's still a few little damp patches on the track, but I don't think that's going to cause us any grief. Just going to make sure we get temperature in, obviously the tyres, the brakes, and also the clutch.
Jason, well, have a good race. We'll be looking forward to see how he gets on with this Chevrolet Cruze that it is now, Tim. So we saw him successful in the Chevrolet Lacetti last year. Chevrolet coming in as a works team effectively now as well, putting their backing into this, but a car that has been proven on the world stage.
Yes, make no mistake, this might be a new car to the British Touring Car Championship, but it is a winning car from the World Touring Car Championship. So it has proven pedigree, and it was quick from the word go.
So let's see how he gets on. He was out of luck. I think you messed him up in qualifying, didn't you, yesterday?
Yes, I qualified immediately before him on a drying track and suggested to him as he stopped me in the pit lane and asked what tyres, I said slicks fronts, wets rear, and he spent 3 laps or 4 laps trying to get him up to temperature and failed miserably, so I apologised for that, Jason.
So he starts 5th on the grid. It's Gordon Shedden, his first pole since Rockingham 2008. He's led here twice in 2008 and had punctures. Now remember, they must stay off the curbs, particularly in the early laps. Racing here at Thruxton is about tyre management, and do not forget that we've seen cars punctured in the latter stages of races here, so it's very important when they go on to this first lap, they're fighting for position, they still try and stay off the curbs, that they think about the end of the race as well as the beginning. It's Shedden in that Honda Racing Civic on pole, Giovanardi in the black Vectra alongside. We're all set for the 2010 season to get underway here at Thruxton. Lights out, away we go, and Shedden makes a good start, but so does Giovanardi. It's pretty even as they head down towards Allard Corner. Matt Neal is in 3rd place in the second of those white Hondas. Different look to lots of the cars this year, but it's Gordon Shedden who's got an excellent getaway. Watch the run for second. Matt Neal is trying to take 2nd place from Giovanardi as we come up to the complex. The 2 Hondas going in together.
And look at Chilton. Look at Chilton up alongside Plato. Great start by the Ford, and he's alongside. He's going to get the place. Plato's going to turn in over the curve. Just squeeze across the nose.
It's Onslow Cole, not
is.
Chilton. So Chilton has actually dropped back. It's his teammate in the other Ford Focus as we go on board, and it's a good battling going on. This is Tom Chilton. He's a little further down the order. It's his teammate Tom Onslow Cole who's right up near the front in the LPG-powered Ford Focus. They're running on gas, and Tom Chilton looking forward to this season after a lot of testing during the winter in Spain in particular.
Yeah, well spotted, because Tom must have had a miserable start. He started in front of Onslow Cole, who's now up into a fantastic 5th place. Look at them side by side through church.
Andy Jordan in the Pertec car, he lost out a bit and he's being squeezed out of the way by Matt Jackson in the Airwaves BMW there. So and Paul O'Neill tucked in behind in the JAG Sunshine Honda Integra. So Paul O'Neill has having a pretty good first lap, but it's Andy Jordan who started 4th on the grid who didn't get away so well.
Yeah, most of them very neatly through the chicane, minding the words of Dunlop and all their engineers. Please stay off those big curves for the first 2 or 3 laps. That curve fine, nice and flat, but the curves of the chicane can put a really nasty little weakness in the sidewall if they hit it before the tyres are up to pressure.
So we're riding on board with Paul O'Neill. Had a superb 5th place here last year, tucked in behind Andrew Jordan, and Andrew running that turn. New engine, of course, it's the debut race for the new generation touring car engine. A little bit of curve used by Jordan there.
Yeah, it's not so bad there. It's when they hit them at slow speed with a lot of loading on them at the chicane, but these other ones fine. Tyres now coming up to temperature. That corner Allard, a little bit of an iffy one because it's a right-hander, but everybody's safely through, and Paul O'Neill will be looking for a strong race. That Honda Integra is notoriously good on its tyres.
Yeah, just behind him, by the way, is Rob Collard. Slightly different colours to what we're used to there, because Collard is with WSR, championship winning team from last year, but no longer orange cars. It's a white car with a blue flash down the side, the BMW in the middle of the shot there. That is Rob Collard. He's chased by Tom Chilton, and then watch out for Tom Boardman behind them in the black Seat with the prominent Union Jack on the roof. Good to see him back in British touring cars this season. So through the chicane they come. They are being reasonably sensible, staying off the curbs. Alex McDowell at the back of that group in the 2nd Chevrolet Cruze. Unlucky yesterday, the car failed the ride height check. He'd actually put in a good lap in qualifying.
Yeah, he was. He's been gradually adapting to that car and British touring cars very well indeed. I see a big future for Alex.
Here's your race leader, though. It's Gordon Shedden leading, but look, fastest lap's gone to the man right behind him in the black Vectra. It's Fabrizio Giovanardi. He didn't even have a race licence earlier this week. They had to rush around to get this deal together, and here is the Italian former double champion, of course, in British touring cars, one of the stars of touring cars all over the world, and he's right there, tucked in behind Gordon Shedden, and let's just see what happens here. Shedden's got to manage those tyres. He knows what it is to lead here and then have a puncture in the late stages.
Yeah, several people attempted race distances on yesterday in free practice too, and there were 2 or 3 with perhaps an optimistic camber setting, and they suffered punctures late into their race run, so they'll have learned from that, hopefully set the cars up in accordance with Dunlop's instructions on camber, and they should have no problems if they do that.
Chilton ahead of Collard and Jordan now, so there's been a little bit of a change around there, so going well at the moment is Tom Chilton, and we'll have to wait and see whether he can gain any more. You know, that's still Onslow Cole there, sorry, in 5th place. We're looking back at Tom Boardman from Tom Chilton's car. There we are. That is Chilton in 10th place, Tom Boardman in 11th place. Phil Glue is behind them. He's in the other black, Unique Racing with 888 Vauxhall Vectra, and of course it's his British touring car debut here.
Yes, the Clio champion from last year, and absolutely delighted to be in touring cars. Like a kid whose all his Christmases have come at once, and thoroughly deserving of his chance.
Onslow Cole wide and made a mistake, and behind Paul O'Neill and Rob Collard seem to have a bit of contact.
Yeah, and I think that's crippled Collard actually, because I saw him slowing down quickly, and Chilton's they've all gone through.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Collard may well be struggling. We'll have to keep an eye. So there is Matt Jackson in the Airwaves car, tucked in behind Onslow Cole. Andy Jordan beginning to look a bit more aggressive in the Pertec machine now. That is a Vauxhall Vectra, but it's with the... Yeah, you were right. There you are. Damage to Collard.
Broken steering arm. Just that small little contact, and it's just broken the front right steering arm.
Let's take a look at what happened here, Tim.
Just try and watch in front. There's just bang there. He's got the wheel turned to the left, the back of the wheel rear tyre, the back of the front tyre sticking out, and just got clipped by the wheel of the other car.
Unfortunate, it wasn't a heavy impact. You see it often in touring cars, but that's put him out of the action, so that's a great shame. Onslow Cole then coming through with Matt Jackson, Andrew Jordan, and then Paul O'Neill tucked in behind. Remember, Plato's just ahead of this group. Plato is running in a sensible 4th place, very much looking after his tyres, not doing anything silly. Then this battle for 5th, it's Onslow Cole in the Team Aon Ford Focus with LPG power, and then right behind them we've got Matt Jackson, Andy Jordan with a little lock-up on that rear tyre, Paul O'Neill tucked in behind, and the trusty Honda Integra, the sunshine.co.uk car, and then behind them it's Tom Chilton, then it's Tom Boardman and Phil Glue. Oh, a little bit wide. Onslow Cole, where's he going?
He just put the left rear wheel on the grass on the exit of the complex and trying to go around the outside, side by side. That's 115 miles an hour on the apex there.
Fantastic. We are back with touring cars here at Thruxton, the fastest track on the calendar, and they're already hard at it. Matt Jackson tried to go past Onslow Cole, but all it's done really is allowed Andy Jordan to catch up again.
Yeah, fastest lap of the race set by the leader, Gordon Shedden, on the last lap, and I doubt that'll be beaten, because always in the first 4 laps is when the fastest lap set on this track.
So Onslow Cole, after that little error, now getting away a bit, and you've got Paul O'Neill at the back of that group with the blue strip across the screen, the JAG car. He's really mixing it now with these guys. Matt Jackson in the Airwaves BMW. Good to see that deal happening in the latter stages of the build-up months to this first race. And Jackson could well be a championship contender, no doubt. We know how consistent and reliable and how fast he can be. Through they come then. We have completed 5 out of 16 laps. We're on to lap 6, and up front it's still Gordon Shedden leading by nearly a second and a half.
Yeah, this group we're watching, I mean, it just shows early indications are that the regulations are fairly equal. You've got a gas-powered front-wheel drive car from a petrol Sports 2000, Super 2000 spec rear-wheel drive BMW, an NGT-powered Vauxhall with Andrew Jordan in it, all running fairly equally.
Yeah, that is good news, and the series director Alan Gow will be happy to see the comparison there. On board, lovely shot with Paul O'Neill through Goodwood, the right-hander here at Goodwood. Fast corner and then plunging slightly downhill. It feels a lot more downhill than it looks on camera, because you're coming into the notorious church corner here. Just watch it here, watch the car ahead as well, bobbling over the curb, over the bumps. Fabulous corner, one of the best corners in British motorsport.
Yeah, that car of Paul O'Neill's is working very well through that long right-hander Goodwood. The car's working very nicely. I think he's going to be very strong at the end of the race.
Well, Shedden is still leading this race in the Honda Racing Civic. Oh, look how close these guys are. Still watching this battle for 5th. Shedden leads, Giovanardi 2nd, Matt Neal is in 3rd, Jason Plato is in 4th place. Then this battle for 5th between Tom Onslow Cole in the Ford Focus, followed by Matt Jackson in the Airwaves BMW, then Andrew Jordan in the Pertec Racing Vauxhall, followed by Paul O'Neill in the Honda Integra. So that's where the real fighting seems to be going on.
Yeah, I can hear Jason oh, down the inside, he's going to push it wide on the dirt. He must get through.
Matt Jackson through. Oh, and it's contact between Onslow Cole and Jordan. That was real shame there. Unnecessary, really. Jordan just about recovers, using all his rallycross experience to gather that together, but look, he's way down now.
Yeah, that was just a case of the door was opened. If you watch, Jackson slides up the inside, which is a classic move at the middle of the complex, and Jordan is looking to perhaps take advantage. I mean, at this point, there's no room. There's no room. And in fairness to Onslow Cole, he didn't even know he was there.
No, he probably didn't, but it was just such a shame. Oh, look at this. This is interesting, because we've now got the other focus in there as well of Tom Chilton. Paul O'Neill as dropping back. So whether damage to his car or not, I'm not sure. But suddenly Chilton has now joined in with his teammate, and Paul O'Neill battling with Tom Boardman. Oh, a little wiggle under braking there. Phil Glue's in behind them as well.
Yeah, I think Paul O'Neill may have just been held up by that incident, but I'd be amazed if Onslow Cole's car is still all straight after that.
Yeah, because the damage was done. He's still holding on to 6th place from his teammate Tom Chilton at the moment. So 6th for Onslow Cole, 7th for Tom Chilton, 8th place now Paul O'Neill, 9th is Tom Boardman, and in 10th place Phil Glue, doing a fine job on his debut, but he's going to have to be a little careful now. He's got Dave Pinkney breathing down his neck, and David would love to have a point also at the first race of the season.
Yeah, Pinkney having a very strong run there, right on the back of this group, and if he's been sensible and looked after his tyres in the early part of the race, he can have a strong finish. He, of course, the other car apart from Andrew Jordan's with the NGT turbocharged engine.
Absolutely right, and just outside the top 10. Oh, we've lost Sean Hollenby. I was just wondering where he got to, and looks obviously bonnet open, problems there as we see the VW Golf in British touring cars, but I'm sure the guys will sort it out and have him back out later on. We lost Collard earlier on. We never really saw what happened to Stephen Kane because he didn't even register doing any laps at all.
No, never saw anything. Don't know what happened. Maybe it's a first lap problem, but obviously didn't see it. But been listening to Jason Plato's pit to car to pit radio. Thought Paul O'Neill was going to slide up the inside, but Jason Plato's complaining about understeer at the apex already at this stage of the race.
Yeah, so that's a worry. Still a long way to go. We're just about half distance. In fact, we are half distance, and Andy Jordan off. He had dropped down to 12th after that incident. There's Dad Mike keeping an eye on things. Of course, it's a family team once again, leaving Vauxhall. Vauxhall left the series, of course, at the end of last year, and Andy Jordan now back with a family team. They've been showing well. Great qualifying effort yesterday, but things haven't gone to plan in this race after that contact with Onslow Cole in particular. Giovanardi, by the way, has taken the lead I've just seen. Giovanardi has come across the line ahead. Where is Shedden? I'm not quite sure what's happened to Shedden. Neil is still up there. There is Giovanardi. He came over the line last time leading the race. Gordon Shedden seems to have dropped down the order, and I think he's in trouble. So now the Vauxhall leads this race. Matt Neal is in second, Plato's third.
Yeah, Shedden was listed as 17th across the line. Look at the lead that Giovanardi's got now. And that's
Matt Neal.
That's Matt Neal. So both Hondas are out. I saw Plato coming along in second, which puts Matt Jackson up to third. So it looks like both the Honda racing cars have had a disastrous debut. Look at that left front as early as lap 9 into the race. That's very early to be having a failure.
Difficult day in qualifying yesterday. They didn't get much dry running, so the teams didn't have a lot of data to go on in terms of how to run these tyres. Dunlop, of course, telling them what they should and shouldn't do. But Giovanardi's been here before. He's led races here and punctured on the last lap in the past, so he will be very aware that he's got to look after these tyres. Let's take a little look back, see if we can find it. This was looking what happened.
This is Jason Plato looking forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's Matt Neal. Yeah,
sorry.
He's passing Matt Neal. Matt Neal already had the puncture, sensibly slowed down a lot for Church and limped back to the pits.
So both, that's amazing, both the Honda racing cars out. They've had problems here in the past, but you would have thought that it wouldn't have happened this time. Matt Neal's on his way again, but Gordon Shedden, I'm not sure if he's on his, I think he is en route again, but obviously what could have been a first and third at least, now nothing like it. And Giovanardi, who didn't even have a drive lined up until this last week, is now in a comfortable lead. His advantage, 8.3 seconds, so he can really afford to take it steady here.
He can, but it's actually quite difficult to take it steady around here because you still have to go round the corners, and all the time you're going round the corners, that tyre's been worked very hard. I mean, he can ease off a little bit, but not too much. Look, plus 8.4 seconds on the bottom of his pit board.
Yeah, and it's a comfortable advantage, but will the tyre last? There's the view in the Honda racing pit, and well, they'll be absolutely gutted about that.
Yeah, from the look of that tyre, the wear was on the inside shoulder, which would indicate too much camber on that left front, but we'll wait and see.
Now this is a little battle going on between Andy Neate and Martin Johnson. It's for 13th place. Andy Neate in car 44. That's the second of the WSR MGs, the team that took Turkington to the title last year, and as it says across the banner on the windscreen, the 2009 champions. And Andy Neate really going into his first full campaign in British touring cars. The two focuses, meanwhile, still absolutely together. Onslow Cole is in fourth now because of we've lost those Hondas. These two guys are now fourth and fifth. O'Neill is therefore in sixth place, and Chilton looks pretty intent on finding a way past his teammate.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? I mean, I do think that Onslow Cole's car may have some slightly deranged suspension from that clash he had earlier with Andrew Jordan, but certainly it's a good little inter-team battle going on here.
Yeah, it's nice to see these two youngsters, and I think we'll see a lot from them this year because it's obviously a great car. It was a chassis they developed beautifully throughout last year. Tom Chilton took pole for the last race at Brands Hatch. Oh, Matt Hamilton's off and he's made contact somewhere along the line.
I think what's happened there is he's gone into the rough, and the rough ground has probably pulled the splitter underneath the front of the car rather than necessarily hitting anything.
Yeah, good point. Might be another tyre problem possibly that's sent him off. We'll have to wait and see. But Giovanardi leading this race. The advantage has come down. He really has backed off a lot, Tim, because his gap now 3.6 seconds.
Yeah, Plato 3 seconds quicker on that last lap. That's a lot. That's more than backing off a little bit with still 4 laps to go.
It is a new tyre here from Dunlop for this weekend. It is specific to Thruxton. Same construction, though, as they've used here for quite a few years. It's a slightly different compound. New laws in terms of what chemicals are allowed to be used in the rubber mean that they've had to become more green, effectively, and use different compounds. But the construction's the same, so it shouldn't be that different a story. And it's a lot of it's down to how the teams have set the cars up and, of course, how the driver has worked those tyres in the early laps.
Yeah, driver's got to have a lot of feel here to put as minimal steering input as possible. That may sound silly, but the driver's steering inputs and control inputs to the whole car can affect the balance and the attitude of the car, and try and spread the weight of the car as evenly as possible over those 4 tyres rather than turning in aggressively and really loading up that left front.
Paul O'Neill's the one who's looking racy here behind the 2 Ford Focuses. Oh, and Chilton just bobbling over the curve a little bit. Behind them, Tom Boardman doing well on his return to British Touring Cars, up to 7th now. Phil Glue is 8th, Pinkney is 9th, and Alex McDowell comes up into the top 10 as we've lost a few cars up ahead, of course, so that's good news for the youngster, also making his debut, along with his former great rival from the Clio Cup last year, Phil Glue. So let's take a little look on board with Paul O'Neill here as we come in towards the complex. You're following those 2 Fords. Ford, of course, still looking for their 220th British Touring Car victory. Came close at Brands Hatch at the end of last season, but Jason Plato snatched it away through the final corner. I reckon we're going to see some wins this year, though, from these LPG-powered Focuses, because they're looking very, very good indeed. Quick in testing, quick in qualifying. And here, not a bad effort at all, but Onslow Cole staying ahead of his teammates at the moment.
Yeah, it seems to have been a bit of a status quo here, but we'll see what happens at the end. Giovanardi still with that lead, but I'm anxious to see what the position is. Last lap was...
Paul O'Neill just getting past Chilton. Chilton's gone wide. That's on the outside.
Left front. That is a left front failure or puncture at the worst possible point, just on the apex of Church. And the driver can't slow the car down and he can't steer.
Oh dear, not at all what anybody at Team Aon wanted. We think there might be a safety car as a result of that. Let's keep an eye out to see. Giovanardi is still leading this race from Jason Plato and Matt Jackson, of course. There is Tom, he's fine, thumbs up.
He's all right, good.
That's good to see. But a frightening place to go off there, no doubt about it. Marshall's on the site very, very quickly as ever. Tom's fine, but...
driver has very little feedback prior to that happening. He might feel a slight deadness in the steering, just turning in, but after that he suddenly loses grip and the car goes straight on.
Paul O'Neill still hounding Tom Onslow Cole here as we're getting into the latter stages. The safety car's not being deployed, it's sort of on standby. Just seeing a bit of it, but I don't think it's going to be going out onto circuit just yet. Tom's still in the car, deciding to get out of there, I think. The yellow flags, and also Cole off now, the other one.
Same problem, another left front, and you can see he just can't steer the car. Fortunately, I think that's the end exit of the complex, so a relatively safe place to go off and quite slow, but well, we've seen plenty of failures already, and as I said, Paul O'Neill, fingers crossed for him, he's actually the car very, very, very secure on its tyres, and he could end up with a good result.
Yeah, well, he's 4th now with Onslow Cole going off, and up to 3rd, by the way, unnoticed by all this, is Matt Jackson in the Airwaves BMW. He'll be delighted. Then you've got Tom Boardman with the Union Jack on the car, and then Phil Glue on his debut. And he's looked after his tyres so far. There's the race leader then. 14 laps completed. We're on lap 15 now out of 16, and Giovanardi knows he's got to keep looking after these tyres. Gap has remained at 3 seconds between himself and Jason Plato.
Yeah, that lap where he was 3 seconds slower than Plato was an anomaly, and they're both on the same lap times now. This is Chilton. Just look, the tyre goes at the worst possible moment.
Yeah,
it just goes straight off.
Horrible.
The tyre wall doing a good job there.
Definitely, and even the damp, because the ground is very soft here at Thruxton. There's been a lot of rain in this part of the country over the last few days, and probably that's a good thing because it also has helped slow the car down on the way towards the tyre barrier. Giovanardi coming down to the same section now. This is the entry to Church where Tom Chilton's car is off on the outside, and there's
Onslow Cole.
Yeah,
I mean, the team will be on the radios telling the guys there's been tyre failures, punctures. You've got got to be careful. They'll be driving like they're on eggshells. Every time they turn into one of those fast right-hand corners, the driver will be just feeling as much as he can through the wheel. Is the tyre there?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking stuff. One more lap to go.
One more lap to go.
Giovanardi, he has got the advantage here at the moment, and he's going to try and hold on to it. Will it hold on for the final lap? How are those tyres holding up? He's still got 3.3 seconds over Jason Plato, so Plato also looking after his tyres. And Jason made the point to me after qualifying yesterday that that's what he was going to focus on. He really knows the problems here, and he was going to focus on looking after his tyres. First event for the Chevrolet Cruze here at Thruxton, and they seem to have done it pretty well. There's Matt Jackson in the Airwaves BMW in a superb third place currently, and in fourth position is Paul O'Neill in that trusty Honda Integra. Then it's still, well, coming back out the pits, that's one of the focuses, that's Onslow Cole, but he's not actually up there in terms of position now. It's Boardman in fifth and Phil Glue in sixth. And just a quick note that John George has come up to ninth now as a result of all these punctures. John George and another of the Sunshine.co.uk Honda Integras. John didn't score any points throughout the whole of 2009, but it looks as though he's going to score points on the first race of 2010, so that's great news. There is our race leader though, and Fabrizio Giovanardi, who didn't have a drive until about 7 days ago, less than that. He had to get his license sorted out, and he's going to come through. There's a little battle going on towards the back, Martin Johnson. But here's Fabrizio Giovanardi, a last-minute deal to run with Unique Racing and 888, and it's come good in the first race of the season. Fabrizio Giovanardi wins race 1 here at Thruxton. Second goes to Jason Plato in the Chevrolet Cruze, and third will go to the Airwaves BMW, Matt Jackson ahead of Paul O'Neill, and it's Tom Boardman who finishes fifth on his return. Phil Glue a superb sixth, and seventh for Alex McDowell. So the two youngsters making their debuts in British touring cars, sixth and seventh. Dave Pinkney's going to come through behind. Look at this battle, Andy Neat and Martin Johnson. This is for position right up to the flag. Wonderful stuff, and coming through, this is for 10th place. The final point is going to be Andy Neat, I think, who's going to take the final point from Martin Johnson. Good battle between those two guys, right to the line there, and great to see Andy Neat enjoying himself on his return to touring cars and a proper campaign ahead of him. But there is our race winner then. It is Fabrizio Giovanardi, and it's, well, those two guys, Giovanardi and Plato, who we've seen battle so hard in recent years. Of course, 2007, Giovanardi snatched that title from Jason Plato here at the Thruxton circuit. And once again, it's their experience and guile that has seen them through a race which has seen many other people drop by the wayside. We lost the Hondas, we lost the Fords, but the experienced heads here have done well. And there's Paul O'Neill. He's celebrating fourth place, and that's a superb result in this privateer team. You can see the smiles, and there is Jason. And I think he's going to be pretty satisfied with that, bearing in mind he started in fifth place. He wanted to look after the car. He said he had a little bit of understeer through that race, and even so, he came through it fine. So the winner, Fabrizio Giovanardi, Jason Plato second, Matt Jackson a good third on his first race for Airwaves. Paul O'Neill fourth, Tom Boardman in the special tuning Seat in fifth, Phil Glue in sixth, and Alex McDowell on his debut as well as Phil Glue in seventh. Dave Pinkney an excellent eighth. John George, no points in 09, but he's on the table straight away in 2010. And Andy Neat just took 10th place ahead of Martin Johnson. Outside the points then, Johnson and Matt Neal had a puncture, so did Onslow Cole. Andrew Jordan got involved in that incident with Onslow Cole earlier in the race. Chilton had the puncture and out of the race. Hamilton off. Gordon Shedden in trouble. Stephen Kane had a problem right early on. And then we also saw Sean Hollenby and Rob Collard out of the race. So as the guys make their way back in, this is how the championship looks after the first race, and of course the only race without any ballast applied. Now they start to pick up success ballast. Giovanardi takes the points lead with that early win. He's on 16 ahead of Plato and Jackson, but there's a long, long way to go. So Gordon Shedden, now we wondered what happened to him. His car actually out there on the circuit. Oh, and that's quite damaged, isn't it? So when the tyre went on Gordon Shedden's car, it obviously pitched him off the road, and that's a worry because, oh, it's actually near Chilton. So there's Tom Chilton, you see him walking, and it means that he also went off at Church Corner, and that is not a good place to have gone off, and I'm sure the two guys will be comparing notes on that, and that is not something they ever want to experience. So bad news. Gordon Shedden was on pole position, led the early stage of that race, looked to be completely in command. Tom Chilton has been in that position himself here at Thruxton in the past. He's also had a puncture when in a strong position, and it's same thing happened again this time. So a real shame. Now let's just take a look back at what happened to Chilton. This was what happened to Tom as he came down towards Church Corner. The tyre goes about now, I think. Tries to turn in, car doesn't respond, just goes straight on, tyre barrier looming up, bosh, up and over the tyre barrier, but the tyre barrier did its job. It absorbed the impact, stopped the car going any further, but damage likely to be fairly severe, I would think, to Chilton's car, and it could well be to Shedden's machine as well. So very, very disappointing, and both guys having a close look at their cars and trying to work out whether they're going to be back out for race 2 in a little while. So a demanding first race, lots of incident. Steve, back to you.
Here we are. Well, an opening winner of the 2010 championship that I think no one could have predicted, let alone the man himself. Fabrizio Giovanardi, congratulations. How much of a shock to the system is that?
It's fantastic because I feel like I come back to hell. I wasn't involved in this championship until last week, so I have to say thanks to Ionic and AAA, they give me the opportunity to be here to win again.
So a week ago, did you have any thoughts at all that you might be involved?
Not really. I have to be honest. I haven't got the plastic license because the license last week is just a paper one. So yeah, it's great things because my mind was just over.
So tell us about the race experience, to take it from that point to race victory with precious little preparation, be it the car or the driver.
I mean, I didn't have so pressure before, so I just came here and said, what I'm doing here? So I jumped in the car and I was worried about driving, but in the end, after 2 laps, I just refined my old friend. And the car has been good as it was last year, and yeah, we tried to manage the tyres because we've seen in the practice that we had the trouble as on the head. So I had to be safe in my race run, and this is paid.
A lot of problems with tyres. I mean, Thruxton always generates problems for tyres. How did you manage to look after them so well?
But for sure, from the setup, you have to be conservative in camber, because if you want to be fast, you have to put camber on, but your risk is bigger. So we just managed on the setup with my engineers, and then when I see the two Hondas out, just release the throttle.
Now the plan is no doubt to win races 2 and 3 as well. But what about long term for the championship?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think they are working to find a good dealership with Ionic, and if they will do that, I believe I will be there.
Great to have you in the championship. Congratulations. I'm sure everyone in the field echoes that. Jason Plato, I'm not so sure about. He's with Louise, though.
We'll do it on this camera for now, Jason. Great result for you. You know, P2 for the Chevy Cruze on its first event. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you know, it's always tough around here. It's a bit of a Vauxhall hunting ground, as we've seen, but the most important thing...
You and me, again.
We just need to get to the end. So, you know, we played conservative, as I'm sure Fabrizio did with tyres, because, as we've seen, it's pretty hard on the tight tyres here, and there's no point sprinting off in the lead to then just, you know, have a blowout and end in the wall. So hopefully we've learned something. You know, we can look at the tyre now, cut it open and see exactly what wear or damage there is. So good start to our campaign.
How much of a concern was it for you? How conservative did you think you had to be? And can you push it a bit more for the next race?
Well, we'll find out. Well, you know, when we analyse the tyre, we'll have a look. But you know, the game plan was to finish, and if that meant we lost a bit of pace, then so be it. Because you know, second place is a lot of points. In the wall is not.
Well done on that second place. Let's have a quick word with the third place finisher, Matt Jackson, and good race for you in your first. Good result for you in your first race with Airways BMW, isn't it?
Back in the BMW with you know, with Airways, Leyland Paints, Money Shop. It's a fantastic result for everybody involved with the team, and just like to say a massive thanks to Dave Bartram of Airways BMW for giving us the opportunity. it's great to come here, round one, get the championship kicked underway. It's just a shame that Giovanardi's still there and Plato. But no, it's great. It's really good for everybody that's involved with the team.
Nice move on So Cole to get that position as well. Just talk us through that one.
Yeah, we were a lot quicker through the complex than Tom. He was going in really, really slow, and I knew that we could get the run, and we touched front and rear bumpers the lap before, and I thought I've just got to make the move because he's really starting to hurt us, and everybody was backing up behind, and the last place I wanted to be was ejected off into the barriers, and unfortunately that's where Andrew Jordan looked like he was heading from in my rear view mirror.
Well done on that result, and we've got plenty more action coming up after this short break.